Let me discuss today what is the secret behind the success of organizations, companies, and business. This has been a subject of my main interest. As a management trainer, as a corporate trainer, I handled this topic for the last so many years. And today, in the next few minutes, I will share the real secrets about it. People talk about productivity in the context of organizations, companies, business. What is productivity and how we can increase the productivity of an organization? First of all, when we call organization, what do we actually try to say? Organize what? Organize whom? When we call it a company, what do we try to say? Company of whom? What is the essence? What is the main thing behind the word company? When we say house, it's a good house, it's a bad house. What do we try to indicate when we call it a house? We use another synonym called firm. When we say it's a good firm, bad firm, why organizations are called firm? There is something wonderful behind this. First of all, organize. A company is organized primarily not of the bricks, mortars, nut, bolts, and flanges. Organize means organized people. If people are properly organized, all other things that the people do will be organized. As it is very well said, the bottleneck of a bottle is not in the bottle, neither in the neck, it's in the head. All right. All bottlenecks in the organization come from the head of a man. Likewise, when we see the reference of this beautiful quotation in the context of an organization, if the head of the organization has got a bottleneck in his head, down the level, the whole organization will be disorganized. So, behind that word organization, we are talking about organized people. Why do we call an organization a company? Why not anything else? Why company? Company of people. It's a company where people work. Why do we call it a house? We talk about the spirit with which people work. House is not just building, stones, walls, and roofs. House is signified by people. House is referred for people. So when we call it a house, we once again call people. Firm. Why do we call it firm? Why don't we call it rigid, still? Why do we call it firm? Firm is in principles. And principles are not about the machines. Principles are about the people. So first of all, whenever we think of an organization, the success of an organization depends on how people are organized there, how people work together in the team spirit, how people work with a principle-centered approach, and how people with a spirit of family, a kinship. So everywhere behind the organization, it is all about people. That spiritual quotation is one of my best quotation. I will discuss this in the context of business and organization. It is by John Powell. It's a law as certain as gravity. To live fully, we must learn how to use things and love people, not love things and use people. I repeatedly say this because I love this quotation. And in the context of organization, also, let us learn from this beautiful quotation. There are two things. There are things, there are people. What is the difference between a good organization and a bad organization? This is the subject of my discussion today. This has been the subject of very many management consultants and great speakers and trainers and motivators the world over. One of them is Mr. Tom Peters, great man. He has done a lot of good work for organization. He spent long time of his life doing research to find out why Fortune 500 companies are successful. And after long years of research, he wrote a beautiful book, $1 million bestseller in the world. I recommend you to read the book, In Search of Excellence. Beautiful book. And you know what is the gist of the message Tom Peters had given? He established that it is not because the Fortune 500 companies invest in good machines that they are successful. Those companies actually invest in people. Investing in people is the in thing today. If you have best machines, best buildings, best infrastructure, that doesn't mean your company is going to be successful. But even if you have some lackings in those hard areas, if the soft areas of your business works very well, you will be successful. Bring it down to a small restaurant. It may have a wonderful ambience, thoroughly carpeted, beautiful fragrance, everything. But quite often, many of such restaurants are not doing well. Why? Their hard service is very well. But the people who work in those restaurants, they are not very well trained. But in a smaller restaurant, if the people working in the restaurant are customer oriented and they can behave very well, those organizations will run. Similarly, in an organization which invests in people, the organizations will be strong. And smaller minded businessmen hesitate to invest in people. They are always fearful. If we invest in people and they leave the job, then what happens? I will rather invest in machine. If the machine is also unproductive, he will have a strange kind of solace in his head. Okay, I can see my machine. My investment is there. Foolish, isn't it? Wiser are those companies who invest in people. Because people get appreciated, the machine gets depreciated. It is only people who get appreciated. So when you train them, they become super effective. In the human resource management, we talk about 4 quadrants, right? Think of any organization like your organization. Obviously, you will have 4 kinds of people. One kind, I call them Sachin Tendulkar kind in a team. You know, they have the will to work and they also can work. They have both the can and the will. Can, mind you, is a matter of skill. And will is a matter of the heart. Skill is of the brain, heart is of the heart. Can is of the brain and will is of the heart. Can means brain, will means heart. So these are the people who give their heart and brain all into the business. They're indispensable. They're the first kind. There is a second kind who are higher can, lesser will. They're less in the will and high in the can. They have great skills, but they're not willing to work. Are they needed? They are. I will tell you why a little later. There is another kind, they can't do much, they are not skilled, but they have tremendous will to work. Are these people required in the organization? Of course they are. How you use them? I am coming back to that. And fourth category, you obviously have some people in the group, they neither can nor will, but they exist. They spoil the organization. You know what therapy you give them? Amputation. Amputation happens to be also legal surgical process. You got to use it sometime. If you have a leg with gangrene, you do not give homeopathy treatment, do you? You ampute the leg. That's the way you're going to save the man. So it's a legal system. Now for the 4 kinds of people, you got 4 kinds of developmental plan. Can and will people are the assets. You use them as role model. You look after them very well. You keep them happy because they are the assets of the organization. They are the assets of a team. Even if sometimes they have a lower form, still you keep them because you cannot get people like Sachin Tendulkar out of the team. You got to keep them in the team all the time because there are other people who gets motivated when they are around. He is loved, respected for everything. Second, high can, no will. What are you going to do? There you give motivational training because he lacks will. His skill is enough. You send them for motivational training. You send them for attitudinal transformation. And in an organization, these are the people who are highest in number. Because they are recruited based on selection of their skills, but when they get their job, their real temperament comes into play, and many of them are not effective. Yeah. And last, high will, low can. You send them for skill training. You send them for spatial skill workshop because they're already motivated. And they're very important people in the team. Think of a football team. When you are losing, what your coach is going to do? Going to bring out an otherwise skilled player, but put in a dogged stopper. He will do and die and set the goal. He is a guy who is required. Because when you are losing with many goals, your sole objective is to save the goal. Because here is a guy who stands like pillar and protect the team from losing out and getting more goals. So you know how to use your team. Look at this hand. This is the best example of leadership, I always say. The hand has got 5 fingers. Are they all alike? They're all different. Does the hand say, you are my strongest, so I will use it all the time. And you are the weakest, I won't use it. The hand knows how to use it also whenever it's necessary. It is all kinds of people that makes this world. God has created this world with all kinds of people. All are required. And the captain knows it. The leader knows it. The organization head knows it. The managing director or CEO or general manager, whoever you call it, they know it. They know how to use all the people together. And what did Tom Peters found out? These organizations invest in periodical attitudinal, behavioral training, without which nothing moves. Because it is through those training, one becomes equivalent to 100. If one motivated person is there in the team, the whole productivity goes forward, goes up. So actually, we don't talk about company productivity without talking about individual productivity. I always love saying, an organization is like a building, a beautiful palace. A good organization is like a palace. What do you have? It's a wonderful building, it's a wonderful structure. And you have floors. The floors are departments. Various departments. You got a factory, you got a marketing department, you got a purchase of materials department, you got personnel HRD department, you got a quality control, and you got various other things. They are the floors of the palace. Now as you go inside the floors, you have rooms. What are those rooms? Under the departments there are various sections. Small sections. The rooms are the sections of the departments. Then you have the walls. What are the walls? They're also conglomeration of the bricks. The walls are units within the section. See how the structure comes in. You got the whole building, then you have the floor, then you have the room, then you have the wall, and finally you have the bricks. The individual people. So imagine a Fortune 500 company, an example company, an excellent company. What's so good about it? Right from the bricks to the wall, to the room and the floor, and the whole building is strong. Why it is so solidly grounded? It starts from the brick. So when we talk about the company productivity, we got to talk about the departmental productivity, we got to talk about the sectional productivity, the unit productivity, and individual productivity. If each brick of this building is strong, then the whole building is strong. So, these individual training, coaching, motivational, behavioral counseling, all these are very important things. Having said that, I should not miss out to convey a very important information. Please remember one thing. In the behavioral training, the external input becomes very important. Not taking the side because I'm a freelance external management trainer, but it is a truth which you can consider. I'll establish it with an example. As long as business goes, these external consultants, the external trainers will be very, very important. Because you know what happens with internal trainers, in-house trainers, they're good as skill trainers, but not as behavioral trainers. Not that they lack in their ability. But once a guy is employed by the same company and gives behavioral input, what happens? People do not take them seriously. Regardless of their effectiveness, their knowledge, their competence, it's not going to work. Like, I'm a professional trainer and they say I'm pretty good at it. But in my home, my own family members don't listen to me. If I give good advice to my daughter, she would say, Dad, go to your management class. I know all that. But a person even less competent than me, he comes in my dining table and he talks something to my daughter. She will eagerly listen to you. And that's a fact about psychological things, about behavioral things. It is always the external inputs which works together. In Hindi, we got a common saying, Ghar ki murgi dal barabar. Okay? And this applies very much in training situation. So, as an organization, if you want to convey certain things to your employees, better have them conveyed through an external trainer people will take seriously. If the internal trainer or an in-house trainer conducts a course, then all the time people will think, now this guy has been told by the boss and he wants his own promotion, that's why he's going to say all these things. So they will look at him with prejudice. But the same thing that guy says, if I go and tell your company, it's going to work. So remember, all the time in personal development, the external motivation works better. So summarizing it right now, the topic for my discussion is productivity starts with personal productivity. Ignoring the personal productivity, you cannot think of corporate productivity, because company is all about people and people need to be motivated. More motivated they are, more effective they are, right? One person is equivalent to 100. As in our culture, the great Guru Gobind Singh used to say, 1.25 lakh se ek ladaun, 100 चिड़ियों से बाज लड़ाऊं. So if you really want to create a baj or a falcon or an eagle, you got to create an eagle. Only through motivation, through inspiration, empower them. Empowerment is the greatest word. And empowerment is not external. It doesn't only happen with skill. It happens. It's an aspect of the mind. So when we create a motivation and empower them mentally, intellectually, physically, then we shall be more intelligent than the rest of the entrepreneurs. Weaker entrepreneurs only succeed in using the brain of their employees. The wiser entrepreneurs would use their brain and the heart together. And that makes the Fortune 500 company. So, if you want to be a great entrepreneur, it's the brain and the heart. It's not only the skill. The attitudinal, motivational trainings are must for your organization. Good luck next time. See you again.